most strange, like nothing in my life. My street sense, my sly tongue had ever prepared me for. Hush, child. Hush now, and I will tell it to you. Even before the dawn one Friday morning, I noticed a young man, handsome and strong, walking the alleys of our city. He was pushing an old cart filled with clothes, bright and new. And he was calling in a clear tenor voice,
"Reds!"
The air was foul and the first light filthy to be crossed by such sweet music.
"Reds! New rags for old. I take your tired reds. Reds!"
Now this is a wonder, I thought to myself, for the man stood 6'4", and his arms were like tree limbs, hard and muscular, and his eyes flashed intelligence. Could he find no better job than this, to be a ragman in the inner city? I followed him. My curiosity drove me, and I wasn't disappointed. Soon the ragman saw a man sitting on his back porch. He was sobbing into a handkerchief, sighing and shedding 1,000 tears. His knees and elbows made a sad X. His shoulders shook. His heart was breaking. The ragman stopped his cart. Quietly, he walked to the man, stepping around tin cans, dead toys, and Pampers.
"Give me a rag,"
he said gently.
"I'll give you another."
He slipped the handkerchief from his eyes. He looked up, and he laid across his palm a linen cloth, so clean and new that it shined. He blinked from the gift to the giver. Then he began to push his cart again. The ragman did a strange thing. He put his stained handkerchief to his own face, and then he began to weep, to sob as grievously as he had done, his shoulders shaking. Yet he was left without a tear. This is a wonder, I breathed to myself, and I followed the sobbing ragman like a child who cannot turn away from mystery.
"Rags! New rags for old. New rags for old."
In a little while, when the sky showed gray beyond the rooftops, I could see shredded curtains hanging out of black windows. The ragman came upon a girl. Head was wrapped in a bandage whose eyes were empty. Blood soaked her bandage. A single line of blood ran down her cheek. Now the tall ragman looked upon this child with pity, and he drew a lovely pink bonnet from his cart.
"Give me a rag,"
he said, tracing his own line on her cheek.
"and I'll give you mine."
The child could only gaze at him while he loosened the bandage, removed it, and tied it to his own head. The bonnet he set on hers, and I gasped at what I saw. With the bandage went the wound. Against his brow it ran a darker, more substantial red, his own.
"Rags! I take old rags!"
cried the sobbing, bleeding, strong, intelligent ragman. The sun hurt both the sky now and my eyes. The ragman seemed more and more to hurry.
"Are you going to work?"
he asked a man who leaned against a telephone pole. The man shook his head. The ragman pressed him.
"Do you have a job?"
"Are you crazy?" sneered the other. He pulled away from the pole, revealing the right sleeve of his jacket, flat, the cuff stuffed into the pocket. He had no arm.
"So,"
said the ragman.
"give me your jacket, I'll give you mine."
So much quiet authority in his voice. The one-armed man took off his jacket, so did the ragman, and I trembled at what I saw, for the ragman's arm stayed in its sleeve, and when the other put it on, he had 2 good arms, thick as tree limbs, but the ragman only had one.
"Go to work,"
he said. After that, he found a drunk lying unconscious beneath an army blanket, an old man, hunched, wizened, and sick. He took that blanket and wrapped it around himself. For the drunk, he left new clothes. And now I had to run to keep up with the ragman, though he was weeping uncontrollably and bleeding freely at the forehead, pushing his cart with one arm, stumbling for drunkenness, falling again and again, exhausted, old and sick. Yet he went with terrible speed. On spider's legs he skittered through the alleys of the city, this mile and the next, until he came to its limits, and then he rushed beyond. I wept to see the change in this man. I hurt to see his sorrow. And yet I need to see where he was going in such haste, perhaps to know what drove him so. The little old ragman, he came to a landfill. He came to the garbage pits, and I waited to help him in what he did, but I hung back, hiding. He climbed a hill. With tormented labor, he cleared a little space on that hill. Then he sighed. He laid down. He pillowed his head on a handkerchief and a jacket. He covered his bones with an army blanket, and he died. Oh, how I cried to witness that death. I slumped in a junked car and wailed and mourned as one who has no hope, because I had come to love the ragman. Every other face had faded in the wonder of this man, and I cherished him, but he died. I sobbed myself to sleep. I did not know, how could I know, that I slept through Friday night and Saturday and its night too. But then, on Sunday morning, I was awakened by violence. Light, pure, hard, demanding light, slammed against my sour face, and I blinked, and I looked, and I saw the first wonder of all. There was the ragman, folding the blanket most carefully. A scar on his forehead, but alive. And besides that, healthy. There was no sign of sorrow or age, and all the rags that he had gathered shined for cleanliness. Well, then I lowered my head, and trembling for all that I had seen, I myself walked up to the ragman, and I told him my name with shame, for I was a sorry figure next to him. Then I took off all my clothes in that place, and I said to him with dearing yearning in my voice,
Dress me.
He dressed me. My Lord, he put new rags on me, and I am a wonder beside him. The ragman, the Christ.